So today I have brought the topic priority sector lending for discussion. Well, this topic will be very interesting. I have found myself very interesting. That's why I have brought this for you. Well, this is Dr. Dibya Bora. If you're new to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe this and like and share with your friends. So let's start. So what is priority sector lending? So basically, these priority sectors are those sectors which the government of India and Reserve Bank of India consider as important for the development of the basic needs of the country and are to be given priority over the other sectors. So in one line, I can say that these priority sectors are given more preference than the others by Reserve Bank of India as well as our government of India. Okay, then the banks are mandated to encourage the growth of such sectors with adequate and timely credit. So whenever some sectors being referred as priority sector, that particular sector should be given highly preference by the banks. So they should encourage the growth of such sectors with adequate and timely credit. Now, we have several priority sectors. You should remember them. First one is agriculture. Then we have MSME, that is micro, small, and medium enterprises. Then export credit, then education, then housing, then social infrastructure, then renewable energy, then others. So these are the basic priority sectors of India. Now, what are the RBI guidelines for this priority sector for the scheduled commercial banks? So there are some guidelines by RBI that you should note down. First is that 40% of the total net bank credit should go to a priority sector advances, and 10% of the priority sector advances or 10% of the total net bank credit, whichever is higher, should go to the weaker section. Got it? So 18% of the total bank credit should go to the agricultural advances, and within this 18% target for agriculture, a target of 8% of adjusted net bank credit, A and BC, okay, or credit equivalent amount of off-balance sheet exposure. Whichever is higher is prescribed for small and marginal farmers to be achieved in a phased manner. Then 5 of A and BC. A and BC, as I pronounce as adjusted net bank credit or credit equivalent amount of off-balance sheet exposure, whichever is higher should go to micro enterprises. So 10% for that means that this 40% is divided into different percent. The 10% of this priority sector advances or 10% of the total net bank, whichever higher, go to the weaker section. Then remember this 18% for the agricultural and advances, and then 5 of the ANBC or credit equivalent amount of off-balance sheet exposure, that whichever is higher, we should go to the micro enterprises. So these are the basic guidelines of RBI. Okay, for the scheduled commercial banks regarding PSL. Now, this PSL, I have just pronounced PSL. So what is PSL? PSL are priority sector lending, and PSLC means priority sector lending certificates. So by the term certificates obviously means what? There will be some mechanism to give this certificate. So in this priority sector lending certificate is a mechanism to enable banks to achieve the priority sector lending target and sub-targets by purchase of these instruments in the event of shortfall. Got it? So whenever some event of shortfall occurs, then with the help of these PLSCs, the banks will purchase these instruments from the priority sector lending. Okay, and this PLSCs also incentivizes surplus banks As you know, it allows them to sell their excess achievement over targets, thereby enhancing lending to these categories under priority sectors. So you can consider this is a plus point, because this PLSs means priority sector lending certificates incentivizes the surplus banks, since it allows them to sell their excess achievement over targets, thereby enhancing lending to the categories under priority sectors. Now, why this priority sector lendings? Okay, this is news because why means I have brought these topics because currently there's a very good news for the startup sector. Why? Because the Reserve Bank of India has assigned priority sector lending status to India's startup sector. So whatever the benefits or whatever the RBI guidelines that I have just gone through, now that will be credited to our India startup sectors, because now RBI has assigned such startup sector as the priority sector lending status. So this is a very good news, and as per my opinion is concerned, this is a very positive step from RBI side, because we know startups have not had easy access to debt stemmed by traditional lender metrics of creditworthiness. That we should agree with, because startups really have to go through some very hard process, because it doesn't get the debt means in a easy way. And you know, this is a huge booster, as sufficient funding and user adoptions are two primary challenges for our Indian entrepreneurs. And yeah, as through this status, obviously they will get a sufficient funding. That is a plus point. Okay. Then besides, startups have mostly relied on expensive venture debt. And so this move will help the startups to free up their equity and raise low-cost debt. So these are my opinions. Okay, whenever means you'll say that this, whether this is a positive step or negative step. So I have found that this is a positive step from RBI side to give the status of priority sector lendings to our India's startup sector. In fact, many of my friends have been involved in this startup sector, so I can understand their problems. I hope that with this status, now they will be able to overcome their problems, basically in the funding process. Now, I want to know your opinion. I want to know your opinion on whether this priority sector lending status will solve the Indian startup sector's problems or not. So, please comment your opinion. I'll be happy to go through them. So that's all for today from my side. Thank you for listening to my video, for watching my video, and we'll be meet again soon with some new topic of discussion. Okay, so till then, take care. Bye bye. I'm signing out now.